Guys, quick, what's the one thing that all good YouTubers have?
Talent.
Money?
Quality videos.
Don't fucking need this. That's right, a theme month of videos. All the cool YouTubers are doing it, just like Bandicoot month. But if I'm gonna do this, it's gotta be with a series that I care about that isn't part of my religion. But which one do I pick? NBA 2K. Or I could pick a series I actually care about, like... So everyone, welcome to the first annual MegaMay. Now on with the show. Mega Man games are bullshit. I just want to play a game where I shoot lemons at robots until they explode, but I gotta deal with this? I gotta watch the tutorial if I'm gonna get through this with my stomach ulcer free.
You wanna know how to beat Mega Man 1, do you? Well, for starters, you're gonna have to pick a less shitty game to play. Seriously? You think you can come to me and just come onto my channel and expect me to figure out how to play this thing for you? Want me to wipe your ass for you too? You little piss baby? Stupid fucking Mega Man 1 and Mega Man 2. More like Mega Man Piss and Mega Man Poo. I can't believe the nerve of these people coming to me, the irate electronic entertainment geek, for advice for beating their stupid ass games. Well, you know what? You could take your Mega Man 1 and shove it up your...
Mega Man. While you might be forgiven for not realizing it, this little guy used to be the mascot for Capcom at one point. Sure, his popularity has been eclipsed by their other franchises like Resident Evil, Street Fighter, and Monster Hunter, but the Mega Man franchise is still massively popular and expansive. There's so many games and sub-series within this franchise, it feels impossible to keep up with sometimes. There's the classic Mega Man series, the spin-off series Mega Man X, which has a deeper focus on story and a darker tone, the Mega Man Zero series, which is a spin-off of the X series, the ZX games, which are spin-offs of Zero, Mega Man Battle Network, a series of tactical RPGs which has 6 fucking games on the GBA alone, Jesus. The Star Force games, which are a continuation of Battle Network, the Mega Man Legends series, which are 3D action-adventure games, and that's not even getting into the handheld spin-offs and kart racer and arcade exclusive games. The point is that this guy has been through some shit, and despite me being in my not boring yet phase when all of this was at its peak, I'm still an avid fan of this series and have played almost every single game to death. While I prefer the Mega Man X series, the classic series has always had such an old school charm to it. I don't know if it's because I prefer his stubbier design or the much funkier cast of villains, but I've always had a soft spot for the classic series. I've played nearly every game in the classic series as well, with the exception of 9 and 10. My personal favorites are Mega Man 2, 4, 6, 7, and 8. But before I get to those, we have to take a look at... Damn it!
I want to look at each game in the classic series in pairs, that way I can see what each game does to improve on the previous one, and see if they do a good job of succeeding one another. But in order to do that, I'm gonna have to swallow my moral code so I can play through. Mega Man 1.
Released in 1987, Mega Man 1 was the result of Capcom, then solely an arcade developer, wanting to develop original games for home consoles. Sure, they ported their arcade games to console, but there was a desire within the company to make some original games for console gamers. They had a handful of choices for consoles to develop for. They had Atari, the Sega Master System, and literally the only console that mattered. Mega Man 1 did decently. It didn't sell all too well in Europe, and while it sold alright in North America and Japan, it didn't exactly light the world on fire like other games at the time did. Whether that be because of the difficulty or this disgusting box art we got in North America, Mega Man 1 wasn't the game changer like Capcom was looking for. Despite that, the game was popular enough that it made Capcom ramp up console development, which is how we got games like DuckTales, Bionic Commando, and of course the 5 damn sequels to Mega Man. Mega Man is seen as an absolute classic by many, and given the massive series it spun off, it's not at all difficult to see why. Now, does any of that praise mean the game holds up today?
Nope.
Of all the games I've talked about so far, Mega Man 1 suffers from first game syndrome the absolute most. It has the skeleton of a good game, but none of the essential meat and organs of one. But let's be fair here and list some of the positives. For starters, Mega Man pioneered a new structure for action platformers. The goal of each level is to simply make it to the end and defeat a boss, or as the game calls them, robot masters. But unlike in Mario, the levels aren't structured in order. Instead, the player has a choice to pick the order they do the levels in, which was revolutionary at the time. Even now, I can't think of many games that do the whole choose your own stage concept, except the ones that are directly inspired by Mega Man. Another cool aspect of the gameplay comes with the bosses. See, Mega Man himself isn't actually all that mega. He can run, jump, climb ladders, and shoot lemons, but that's honestly all there is to his moveset. And each Robot Master has basically the same moveset as him, but with a key difference being that instead of shooting produce, their arms shoot out something actually threatening. What sets Mega Man apart from other games is that once you defeat a boss, their weapons become yours. See that guy shooting lightning out of his hands? Well, once you beat him, you can do it too. And power stealing combined with the whole choose your own level structure creates an interesting gameplay loop that the entire classic and X series stick with. Each boss in the game is weak to another boss's weapon, and it turns Mega Man games into a rock paper scissors type deal where you try to find out what Robot Master is weak to what. That way you can plan your run through the game around making the bosses as easy as possible by using their weaknesses against them. That's really cool. You can tell it was a deliberate design choice as well, especially given that each Robot Master's name can clue you into what their weakness could be. Scissors can be used to cut electric wires, or you can use rocks to break a pair of scissors. You can use Iceman's weapon to put out Fireman. Not all the Robot Master weaknesses are that obvious, but about half of them are, and this structure is what defines a Mega Man game in my opinion. Especially when you defeat all the bosses and are taken to Wily's fortress, but I'm getting ahead of myself here. Before we keep talking about the gameplay, what's the story of Mega Man 1? Well, to answer that, we have to not take a look at the US instruction manual. If there's anything about this game that's absolutely infamous, it's how little the localization team actually knew about the game. We already saw the US box art, but taking a look inside at the instruction manual isn't much better. It's Mega Man versus the powerful leaders and fighting forces of Monsteropolis. This makes Mega Man sound like a political thriller. Also, the series never specifies what city everything takes place in, but it's damn sure not Monsteropolis. What the hell does that even mean? Anyway, the plot centers around two scientists, this Santa Claus looking guy, Dr. Light, and his colleague, Dr. Wily. Both doctors created 6 humanoid robots meant to help out with various jobs in their city. Cutman was made for lumber workers, Gutsman for construction, Bombman for demolition, etc, etc. Wily realized that with creations so powerful, there wasn't anything stopping him from using them to take over the city. So he reprograms the robots into evil robot masters, who then take over a specific territory of the city. Dr. Light's first creation, his adopted robot son named Rock, volunteers himself to be reconstructed as a battle robot to take on the robot masters, becoming the iconic Mega Man. This story is actually really cool and sets up the entire rest of this franchise, but man, I wish it was actually represented here. You get no real text sprawl, in-game dialogue, nothing to give you any actual context for the story. So that, coupled with the poorly localized instruction manual, meant we really didn't get any semblance of story with this series until the sequels. Anyway, back to the gameplay. I've already laid out the basic gameplay loop in Mega Man 1, and from a glance that seems solid enough, but let's see what our Meegle on the scene has to say about it. Meegle?
I hate it.
The most important thing to a video game in my opinion is the controls. It doesn't matter if your premise is cool or if you can see the individual sweat droplets on a character's skin, if the controls you use to play said game with aren't good. And on a scale of 1 to Mega Man 1, I'd say this game fits somewhere in the Mega Man 1 range. Mega Man controls like he's rubbed butter on the bottoms of his feet. He just slipsides all over the damn place constantly, and he falls like a brick, making precision jumps on tiny platforms a nightmare. Which would be fine if the game was built around it, but look at this! They expect you to clear this without making a single mistake! Then there's all sorts of stage hazards that exist for no other reason than to knock you to your death. Mega Man 1 feels like it was designed to piss the player off. There's so many beginner's traps and things that exist for no other reason than to aggravate you. Like look here, in Elec Man stage you find this thing trapped behind some blocks. Now if you had Gutsman's weapon you could get it, but let's say maybe you decided to do his stage after Elec Man. Chances are you're not going to remember to come back here later. Well, later in the game, you reach this room right here where it's revealed that, oops, you were supposed to grab that item since it's the only way you can get up here. Now you have to go back and use either Gutsman or Elec Man's weapon to get it, just to come back here and get up here. And while that item, the magnet beam, is useful in some areas, it's never needed for anything but this specific instance. That's not super egregious or anything, but the entire game is designed like this. Seriously, aside from a few of the bosses and like, maybe Cutman stage, I straight up do not have fun with Mega Man 1. Anyway, you beat all the robot masters and make it to Wily's fortress, which houses a couple of new levels and new bosses, and ending with a fight against Wily himself. The first Wily stage boss is... No, not this thing. This is the Yellow Devil, and it's got a bit of a reputation for FUCK! This guy doesn't take that many hits to take down, but good luck avoiding his attacks long enough for him to open up his weak spot. I kid you not, I died to this thing at least 3 times every single time I replay this game. There is a trick you can do where you fire a bolt of Elec Man's weapon and mash the pause button to get tons of damage to kill it in one hit. But that's for bitches. So you know I used it. Wily Stage 2 has you refighting Cutman and Elec Man, and it's right here where the rock paper scissors mentality with the bosses really comes to fruition. These guys kicked your ass before when you didn't have their weaknesses, but now that you have all of them, it's an absolute cakewalk. This stage ends with a fight against a clone of Mega Man, and the clone uses whatever weapon you have equipped. It's honestly just kind of annoying. It doesn't really have a set attack pattern, so it's impossible to formulate a strategy on repeat playthroughs. Stage 3 is unremarkable, it's incredibly short, and you fight a bubble robot, woo. The final stage has you doing rematches against the other 4 robot masters. You pick up this item that refills all your energy right before the fight, which is a non-stop gauntlet between the remaining 4 bosses. Like with the previous 2, it's an absolute breeze with all the powers. Is what I would say if it did take me 40 goddamn tries to beat Gutsman. Come on! After we take them out, it's on to the Wily fight. This fight is honestly kinda lame. You'll see in the future how bullshit these final boss fights can get, but in this first entry, it's honestly pretty underwhelming. You just dodge his pellets and spam Elec Man's weapon, and the fight's over before you even get a chance to wonder why this guy isn't living in a rest home. The most notable thing about this fight is the slowdown. Anyway, you take Wily down and he begs for forgiveness, and then Mega Man runs away? Well, no wonder there's 11 fucking games in this series. Mega Man just lets the bad guy get away. Well, that's Mega Man 1, and do I think this is a bad game? Kinda? I mean, it's not terrible, I've certainly played worse, and I can 100% look at the things it did right and appreciate the groundwork it laid for the series. But on its own, it feels half-baked at best and blood-boilingly infuriating at worst. The game's incredibly short, and even though it only took me about 2 hours to beat, it felt like it took 30 years off my life. From slippery controls to the overabundance of trial and error gameplay and obsession with bottomless pits, Mega Man 1 feels like an exercise in frustration.
Does that mean there's no enjoyment to be had with this game? Of course not. I think Mega Man 1 is what you make of it, and I choose to make it not my problem anymore. So that's one game down, meaning we only have 129 to go. Well, if I'm going to do this rest of my life, I was like, get the next one out of the way.
Mega Man 2 is where the whole Mega Man games being good thing really starts to come into play. Mega Man 1 was a sloppy first attempt at something new for gaming, a game I could see some value in, but otherwise I wouldn't shake a stick at it. Whereas Mega Man 2 just so happens to be one of my favorite games of all time. To say they improved the formula with this game is underselling it a ton. Not only is the control much better, although Mega Man still tends to slide around a little bit, but the level design, boss fights, set pieces, story, the music, absolutely everything has been amped up for Mega Man 1, and it's incredibly shocking to see they were able to achieve this level of quality just 2 years later. Let's start with the story. After their defeat in the last game, the Robot Masters are freed from Wily's programming and sent back to their jobs. Meanwhile, Wily decides to create his own Robot Masters to do what the previous ones couldn't and take over the city. Seeing this, Mega Man jumps into action once again to take the fight to Wily and save the day. It's an incredibly simple story, just like last time. But there's so much more oomph here compared to last time, simply because of this opening title screen. Despite it only lasting like 15 seconds, it really makes the whole journey ahead seem epic as all hell. Another thing we gotta talk about is the music. Oh my god, the music! The music in the last game was decent, but the only tracks I really remember are Elec Man's theme and Cutman's theme. The rest were ear-grating at worst and just kinda okay at best. But literally every track in Mega Man 2 is catchy and memorable. From the title theme to the Weapon Get theme, the Stage Select theme, Bubble Man's theme, Crash Man's, Flash Man's, Air Man's, Wood Man's, Metal Man's! This is the single best soundtrack in an 8-bit game, at least in my opinion. If there's one thing you could take away from Mega Man games, it's that all of them have absolutely incredible music. And that's a trend that was started here. But that's just the music. What about the levels themselves? Well, I'm happy to report that any instances of trial and error BS from Mega Man 1 are gone, mostly. Instead, we have some of the tightest and most expertly designed levels the NES has ever seen. Most hazards in the game give you a brief window before they start attacking, giving you a second to learn the attack patterns of every single enemy in the game. There's way less of a focus on bottomless pits, and aside from Airman stage, the instances of places with pits spamming enemies to knock you into them are few and far between. It still has its fair share of challenge though. Plenty of areas in the game feature spikes that kill you instantly if you touch them. Bubble Man stage in particular is filled to the brim with them. And even though that sounds pretty daunting, I don't think anything in this game is nearly as frustrating as it was in the first one. And it's all down to the level design. Like I said, every obstacle in this game is structured in a way where the first time the player sees it, it's in a controlled environment, meaning the penalty for getting hit by it isn't super harsh. Then as the level goes on, they ramp up the punishment for taking damage, and it's done in such a natural way that it always feels like it's on the player when they die. Each individual stage has seen improvements as well. While the theming in Mega Man 1 was alright, most of the levels felt kinda abstract. Like, yeah, I get Iceman stage being icy, Fireman stage having flames everywhere, and Elec Man stage being littered with electricity. But like, What the hell is Cuts Man's theme supposed to be here? Green? Or what about Bomb Man's? What the hell are these things in the background? With Mega Man 2, each stage feels grounded and unique. It's incredibly clear where each stage is supposed to take place, and they do a whole lot with each one's theme. Metal Man's takes place in a factory and features conveyor belts and pistons meant to break up metal. Heat Man takes place in a toxic waste dump reminiscent of a sewer. Wood Man's is in a forest. Bubble Man's in an underwater fortress. The only one I'm not sure what the hell it even is Crash Man's stage. It's just a load of tubes, it's lame. Speaking of the Robot Masters, each fight with them is much better than any of the fights in the first game. In that game, all they really did was run around all over the place and randomly fire their weapons. But here, each one has a clear attack pattern, which is super fun to figure out and take them down skillfully. However, one thing about this game that's a bit divisive is how easy it is to take down each Robot Master. In the first game, having the right weapon take on a specific Robot Master felt like it gave you an advantage without making the fight mind-numbingly easy. But here, having the right weapon might as well be an automatic win button. Like, look how quickly Airman gets taken down.
I blinked, what?
What really drives this point home is the fact that one weapon in this game is just blatantly overpowered. The Metal Blade. Take out Metal Man first and you can play the rest of the game with your eyes closed. This thing fires fast, can be shot in 8 directions, and has a ton of ammo, and it's the weakness of half the damn bosses. Bubble Man, Flash Man, Wood Man, even Metal Man himself, look at this! Despite how easy it makes the game, I love this thing, and it's easily my favorite boss weapon in the entire classic series. After you defeat some of the bosses, you get these helpful transportation items that can help you with some of the platforming sections. There's some areas where using them are mandatory, so it's nice that the game outright gives them to you to avoid another magnet beam fiasco. Another new addition to the series is the E-Tanks. There's a few you can find throughout each level, and using them completely refills your health. These are a nice inclusion, and some of them require you to use the items I mentioned a second ago. After you beat all the bosses, you enter another Wily fortress, this one being twice as long as the original, having 6 levels instead of 3. It's so much better designed as well. First off, Wily Stage 1 and 2 have what is quite possibly the most well-known song in the entire franchise. Like last time, each stage ends with a boss, the first being this goofy dragon looking thing. It's a nice bit of spectacle, but I can't get over the fact that each time you hit this thing the background spazzes out. This was long before epilepsy warnings were mandatory in games, so if you played this game 36 years ago and had a seizure, don't worry, I just notified Capcom's lawyers. Anyway, the next Wily stage has you fighting this block thing. It's easy. Stage 3 is a water-based level complete with spikes all over the damn place. It ends with a giant bulldozer version of Guts Man, and I only ever remember this part because of how stupid he looks. Otherwise, this fight is pretty forgettable, honestly. Stage 4's boss is the one instance where Mega Man 1's cheap bullshit seeps into this game. You're supposed to shoot these wall turrets, but some are locked behind these brick walls, which, as we've seen in previous levels, can only be broken by Crash Man's bombs. The problem here is that the turrets themselves can only be destroyed with Crash Man's bombs, so if you just go in destroying all the walls first, you won't have enough weapon ammo left to take out the turrets. That'd be bad enough, but to make matters worse, if you die and come back here, your weapon energy doesn't refill. This section isn't an issue if you're playing the Legacy Collection version of the game, as there's a new built-in rewind feature that I felt like was solely implemented because of shit like this. But if you're a die-hard fan of the NES original, or a stubborn bitch like me, you're gonna have to learn the correct pattern to avoid having to start the entire level all over again. Luckily, I've played this game so many times that I've got the correct order to shoot these things etched into my brain, but thinking about the first time I fell victim to this is enough to trigger war flashbacks. Anyway, Stage 5 is a dedicated boss rush against all 8 Robot Masters, and given that you have all their weaknesses, it's super easy, but I think that's the point. The entire first half of Mega Man games is you struggling to get to, then struggling to fight a series of bosses. But I think these boss rush sections are more so meant to be a test of the player's knowledge of the boss's weaknesses, reinforcing the rock paper scissors mentality even more. Either way, it still doesn't make Metal Man being weak to his own damn weapon any less funny. Once you take the bosses out, you get another fight against Dr. Wily himself. His attack pattern is much more interesting than the last game, but he's yet another enemy weak to the Metal Blade. Who knew the true weapon of mass destruction was stainless steel? Afterwards, you get one really quick and easy last stage before being confronted by Wily, who turns into an alien. As bizarre as that is, this thing is also weak to bubbles of all things, and none of the other weapons will put a dent in it. Despite the absurdity of the whole thing, I actually think this is a pretty great final fight. While the boss rush puts your knowledge of the weapons and weaknesses to the test, this fight puts the player's platforming skills and timing to the test. After a barrage of bubbles, the alien goes down and is revealed to be a hologram that Wily uses a last-ditch effort, and Wily begs for mercy once more. And once again, Mega Man just walks away. This number of games is making a lot more sense now. This is the second time Mega Man just lets the main antagonist go, so unless he actually arrests him or straight up executes him in the next game, I think we can blame all the destruction this world goes to on Mega Man. Overall, Mega Man 2 feels like an apology for Mega Man 1, and I think it's safe to call it one of the greatest sequels of all time. It's not a perfect game by any means, but so rarely does a game sequel improve on what its predecessor did to such a degree as this. Mega Man 1 may have laid out the foundation for the series, but Mega Man 2 took that concept and absolutely ran with it. Many people consider this not just one of the best games on the NES, but the absolute best game in the classic Mega Man series. And I absolutely have to agree. While Mega Man 1 felt like it was a decent first attempt, Mega Man 2 felt confident in itself, and is the start of this franchise turning into something truly iconic.
Mega Man 1 and 2 are both great starts for this franchise. Even if I don't have the highest opinion of Mega Man 1, regardless of my feelings in the first game, you can't deny that both of these titles were instrumental in turning this character into one of the earliest mascots of the gaming industry. And without them, we wouldn't have the massive series that we do now. Still, I feel a series as long-lasting and extensive as this one is missing a little something before I can call it truly great, but I'm not sure what. Well, now I gotta say this is the greatest series of all time.